Alia Atkinson, welcome to Profile.
Thank you for having me.
Especially, we're really happy to have you, especially given the sort of list of accolades, I would say. And I have a brief summary of it, and I say brief because it's quite long. 5-time Olympian, 10-time world medalist, including 4 gold, 2-time world record holder, countless medals at the CAC, the Commonwealth Games, Pan American Games, and also at the college level. And I would say perhaps most importantly, the first black woman in history to win a world title in this sport, the sport of swimming. So when you listen to all of this and you think about it, can you give me 3 words to describe your journey?
3 words: perseverance, fighting, and optimism.
Perseverance, fighting, and optimism. Tell me why fighting in particular.
I would say fighting because, yes, it's a physical sport. You'd have to fight through to win and to accomplish what you need to. However, a lot of the fighting was mentally. Being able to get up when you hit down, being able to defeat the doubt that's coming in your head. And literally, sometimes you have to fight through the pain and fight through whatever is coming up that is allowing you to feel defeated or feel surrender. You have to fight that.
And I want to get into perseverance as well, and also, you know, fighting a little deeper into what you're talking about. But this is part of the impetus for you writing the new book. This is called Day One, Not One Day, an athlete's 7-step guide to success. Why was it important to write the book?
It was important because I saw a lot of athletes in the latter part of my career just asking questions, just really wondering what it takes to continue, what it takes to persevere and fight and be optimistic throughout all the ups and downs in sport. So this was written for them originally, just to help them with 7-step tips that I have learned throughout the years, to give back and for them to have something at home that they can work on themselves and have a little bit of my idea and my thoughts with them throughout the journey. But as I continue to write it, I realize how much of it can be used for the everyday athlete, and it can be used for a recreational athlete. It can be used for the person that just wants to go to the gym or has a goal and they don't know how to reach there. It can be used for any part of your life that you seem fit.
And you call it a workbook. It's a workbook as a consequence. Which means what exactly?
So I wanted it to be interactive. I wanted the reader to look within themselves and to bring out the questions. I didn't want to tell them what the right answers were. I wanted them to discover it on their own. And a lot of it is transforming yourself physically, but mostly mentally. So it's acknowledging what your weaknesses are, realizing that it's not a weakness, it's just something you need to work on. It's something you need to transform into a strength. It's about creating the narrative. So knowing what your narrative is and who's telling you. Is it yourself or is it outside people? And then changing that to something that will benefit you in the future.
And this is a consequence of your own understanding of your own narrative, and I want to talk a little bit about that, because a lot of people see all of and hear all of the accolades, but they don't understand the journey. So let's talk a little bit about that and how you started out swimming at age 3 or 4 at Vaz Prep.
Yes. So I started out up at Queen's School with Coach Matthew. And it was a learn to swim program. I started at 4, and my parents just made sure everybody knew how to swim. And that's how it started. And we went into different sports in between for the summers. And I think around age 8, I decided to fully commit to just one sport. So we stuck with swimming at YMCA and Y Speeders.
What was it about swimming that made you say, yeah, this was it?
Well, we tried different ones. We tried tennis, and I never like run up and down for the ball. And then we tried track and field, and it was fun for a little bit, but it's just running around in circles. But for me, I really liked the swimming because it was somewhere where I was isolated because I was very shy growing up. I was very introverted. So it was just me and the pool. Everything else was just quiet. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed being able to shut everything down and just do the best that I can. But also, I love the pool. I mean, the feeling of the water surrounding you, the freedom that it gives you, the quietness that it gives you, the serenity is something that I can't find elsewhere. And I don't like to sweat, and the water is cold. So all 3 of those just...
How are your parents encouraging this? Let's talk about your mother in particular.
Yeah.
Huge.
Through it all. My family is a track and field family. We're a sport family. So everybody at least had one sport growing up. Well, as I continued, it was me and my brother that really pushed through with swimming. So we just kept on going with that trend. And it was exciting at the beginning. And then it got very It was a roller coaster of emotions and finances and resources. And it was incredible to see how my family just came together. Not just my mother and father, but my aunts, my uncles, my cousins. Even now, when I'm publishing this book, everybody came together for the launch. Everybody had a little piece of it, and we came together to create something beautiful. So it's that family support that I had at a very young age, and I have throughout my career and onwards.
Now, your family would move overseas to Florida. I know this was this the point at which you were like, yeah, this is the thing I want to do as a career?
No, it wasn't until after I graduated college. I graduated in 2010 from Texas A&M University. And after that, I said, you know what, I have 2 more years until 2012 Olympics. Let me see what I can do. And I gave myself this unrealistic goal. And I wrote about it in a book about having goals and challenging yourself, not limiting yourself. So I gave myself this unrealistic goal to medal at 2012 Olympics. Given in 2008, I came 28th or 26th. So I was nowhere close to getting top 3. But I said, you know what, I'm going to dedicate these next 2 years to doing that. And I pushed through it, and I trained through it with that goal in mind. So every day there was a reason to get up in the morning. There was a reason not to quit on myself and to fail and to keep on pushing. And I think that extra mentality really kicked in during that time, which is the fighting and the perseverance and the optimism when I did not swim good to say, don't worry, I don't have to swim good today. Is for the future. But
up until that point, you understood this to be now like work.
Yeah, so that's when my mindset started to switch. That's the first time I could actually call myself professional, because I was outside of school and I was doing it I was just doing swimming. And I was like, I'm doing this to see what I can do in the sport as a career. And then 2012 happened, and then I got 4th. I was like, oh, I was close. I didn't get my goal, but I was close. And that meant I could push through a little bit more and see what else is in store for me. And that's when it changed into a career.
When you come out though on the platform, you are one of very few, if any, Black people. When you moved to Florida initially, did you see or understand this? Did you notice you were different? Did you?
No, because mostly in Jamaica, 90% were African American, they were Black. So it wasn't until I moved that I noticed that there were not Black people swimming. And people would look at me and say, why are you swimming? And I was like, why aren't you swimming?
What do you mean they were?
Because they would say, if you're of a certain color, you should be going track and field. Football, basketball.
People would say this to you?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That was a huge conversation. I think my mother took the majority of it because she was there for high schools and international meets. So she would get the brunt of it. But I would hear. And it took a long time to break through on that market to say, okay, she's here to stay. Obviously, she's good at this sport. But it took a while for me to showcase my talents.
No, you've spoken about the kind of work that goes into it, but I don't think people really understand what it means to get up every morning, what is the actual routine. So I'm going to take a break on Profile, and we'll talk about that after the break. Stick around, we're back with you on the other side of these messages.